Check one, two. Check one, two. Can y'all hear me? Okay, cool. We got a few people walking in right here. We're gonna let them grab their seat, and then we'll kick this off. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for choosing Trulli. I know y'all had other options for this time slot right now, so we really appreciate y'all making the time to sit with us. Thank you. So, without further ado, I want to kick this off. So, before we chat, there's a interesting quote that I find really interesting. Just that kind of talks about vision and how long things take. And so there's this quote from Alexander Graham Bell from 1906, over 100 years ago. It says, "The day will come when the man at the telephone will be able to see the distant person to whom he is speaking," which sounds so crazy today because like with FaceTime and just being able to get on an airplane, I can speak to, and I can see the person I'm speaking to. That sounds crazy that wasn't an ability then. And so thinking about where the future is going and how things are changing so fast today, we're really excited to talk to you about what we're doing. So first up, I want to introduce myself. My name is Jordan Newhauser. I'm going to be the moderator for our chat today, and I'm the head of experience and marketing at Trulli Audio. First up, I would like to introduce Andy Briggs, our Director of Acoustics at Trulli Audio. Woo! Next up, I'd like to introduce the leader of the band. We would not be here without him, Mr. Len Foxman, President at Trulli Audio. Next up, we have JT Torres, owner of Automotive Entertainment in Huntington Beach, California. Thank you for joining us. And last up, we have Lance Perkins, one of the key team members of JK Automotive Designs out of Stoneham, Massachusetts. So we're super, super excited to be here today. This is just a reminder of who we are, so you remember our names. We really, really appreciate y'all being here today. So we're going to kick off with a simple icebreaker so that y'all can get to better know who we are, right? So I'm going to start off with Andy, and we're going to work our way to Lance. Can you tell me about a vehicle that you love, you may own it or may want it? Can you let us know what vehicle that is that you really love?
Yeah, so hi, everybody. My name's Andy. I'm the director of acoustics for Trulli. I think the car that like kind of speaks to me from a design perspective is the original Lamborghini Countach.
That's your daily driver?
Yeah, that's my daily driver. I take it to work every day. No, obviously not. I drive a Ford Fusion. that's my car.
They're similar.
But in general, just design. I like the design of it, interior.
Absolutely, it's a beautiful machine. Len, how about you? What vehicle was a love of yours?
Well, I loved, back in the day, my 1965 Dodge Coronet Hemi, which I burned the tires off that car after 14,000 miles. So I kind of learned that I had to be a little gentle with what I was doing. But I really did appreciate that vehicle. And today there's lots of nice vehicles. Ferrari makes a car called a Roma. And it's a really elegant, high-performance car. And it's got timeless beauty to it. The lines are absolutely fantastic. So I like that a lot.
Love that. Thank you, Len. JT.
Man, I happen to like cars, right? So had a few cars, but I don't think you can make a nice car out of all the cars that I have owned. A lot of Cutlass, but the car that if I could afford it, I mean, if I could find it, right, it will have to be a Grand National. I think is like the car to have if you can find it and at a good price.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great
Nice.
vehicle.
Good luck.
Lance?
Well, speaking of daily drivers, probably Pagani Huayra, if I had to say. Things like a piece of art in motion driving down the road. Lines super smooth, sleek, great handiwork. Can't really go wrong, man.
I love it. I love it. So these are just I think it says more than the vehicle itself when you listen to some of these answers and why they love the vehicles that they do. I think it's pretty awesome. Before we jump in, we actually have a video, because this is not everyone at Trulli Audio. There's a whole team back in Mundelein, Illinois, which is just north of Chicago. It's actually near the Wisconsin-Illinois border. So we're going to play that video for you now, so you can get to see a little bit more about Trulli that you may not be able to see online.
At Trulli Audio, everything we do starts with the simple belief: the more there is to hear, the more there is to love. That's why we created the new Bass 50 wireless subwoofer. When people hear the Bass 50 for the first time, their eyes light up, like going from a world of gray, and suddenly color comes back on. Over 5 years in the making, the Bass 50 is designed, engineered, and assembled here at Trulli HQ, just north of Chicago. Our passionate team of engineers, technologists, and music lovers have gone the extra mile to make sure everyone can enjoy a rich, full sound experience, like you're in the room during the recording. It's all made possible by our exclusive thin driver tech. This innovation brings together incredible sound and incredible efficiency, so the Bass 50 goes where you go. But we're not just building better speakers, but a better kind of speaker company. One dedicated to listener-first design, exacting quality, and reimagining American electronic manufacturing. End to end, Trulli is in control, from first sketch to prototyping to testing to assembly, right through to packaging. Our team goes above and beyond industry standards to give fans like you that front row feeling. Pop, hip-hop, classical, rock, electronica. No matter what moves you or where you are listening, the Bass 50 is like hearing your favorite music again for the first time.
Awesome. So I hope that helped give a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at Trulli's HQ. And so now I want to kick off with Len. Actually, I want to ask you a question, Len. In your own words, how would you describe what makes Trulli different from others today?
Well, the thing is, when you're launching a new company, you better have something that's highly differentiated from everything else that's available. And the thing that was interesting is, over the years, and you're talking now over 100 years, everything involved in reproducing music has been improved constantly. And the size of amplifiers and the electronics and the way we pick up the original thing is all shrunk and everything. And then we get to the end where we need a transducer, something to bring it back to sound we can enjoy. And that type of design was still where it was when they got patented in 1934. So the deal is there a better way of designing the transducer and getting better performance with other things? And that's what we've done with our thin driver technology, because we're typically 20% of the weight, 20 to 25% of the size. We can handle power because we can dissipate more with a larger voice coil. And so this transducer now makes it possible for us to enable people who want to utilize that capability into vehicles and do it in places that previously they had no choice because it wouldn't fit. And we can enable that now, and you'll see many examples around here. And then, of course, we used that same technology to build a product like the Base 50, which is a fully enclosed system, no wires, totally wireless. Put it in a vehicle, connect wirelessly, use it on a tailgate, use it at the patio, the beach, wherever. And there's no install to it. And when people have a chance to hear the difference that a subwoofer makes in a vehicle, everybody wants it. And
That's awesome.
We're doing that right now.
Thank you, Len. I love that. And that's a perfect segue. You talk about enabling installers and designers. JT, Lance, I would love to hear from your words what makes Trulli different.
The best way I can put it is just all of the possibilities you have with this one driver. It's super slim, so if you want to put it in a small sealed box up front in a footwell, you can. It's not a problem. If you want a little bit of extra SPL, put it in a ported box or a bandpass box, throw all the power at it because it'll take it, and you can just rip your car apart. But all of this from the same subwoofer. You don't have to choose between a couple just because there isn't really a drawback to going to either one of those options. Where typically some subs are better for small sealed enclosures, and then you'd have to go for a completely different option to go to like a bandpass or what have you.
For me, just having the flexibility of taking this sub, right, and we can take this up. We build a lot of footwell enclosures, right, where we're placing a subwoofer on the passenger's footwell, right? So having the ability to make that woofer work in like a 0.2 to 0.3, it's unheard of. Like we didn't have it. You could do it with other woofers, but it wouldn't sound very good.
0.2, just to make sure we're all understanding, 0.2 cubic feet.
Yeah.
So
Small.
a fifth of a cubic foot.
Yeah, small.
And Lance, you were talking about your experience with the what size enclosures were you?
So I've played around with a couple at this point, using it as a front sub in particular. I do have a larger sub in the back just to take care of some of that like 30 hertz and below. But I'm right around 0.1 at the moment and crossing over at about 35 hertz. And it's loving it, taking all the power, huge punch through the chest, and incredibly clean the entire way through. Can't ask for much more. Best part is it's in my little tiny Toyota 86, and I can still fit my girlfriend next to me. I don't have to pull out the box if I don't need to. So
That's pretty awesome. Thank you for that. So I want to transition to Andy, and I want to hear more from your words, being that you're the acoustical engineer here. Can you talk to us more from your expertise and opinion on what is perimeter-driven technology? We keep talking about it. What is it?
Yeah, so perimeter driven. So I think the best analogy, we were kind of talking about this beforehand, kind of the best analogy to use. I think the best analogy to use is think of a plate. So you want to balance a plate, and normally the way people balance plates is, or the most impressive way is to take it from the center. So I'm balancing a plate on my finger, right? So now in this analogy, the plate is your cone, and your finger is your voice coil, right? So now, if I move that plate up and down with this finger, what now is that plate able to do? Wobble like crazy, right? So the way people get around this is you make, instead of a flat surface, you make a cone, right? Now what did you just do there? You just sacrificed depth for linearity, right? So now that distortion-free driver, right, you in order to get distortion-free, you needed to add that extra depth to get the control, right, from the spider, to get the control maybe from a second spider, because some subs you'll see have two spiders that are separated, right? And what that essentially does is allows you to get nice linear control, but at the sacrifice of depth. So the huge advantage of perimeter-driven technology going around the edge of the plate, holding it from the edges and pushing up and down, right? You have a lot more rigidity. You have a lot more stability, and you're able to get super clean sound, low distortion, low third harmonic distortion, low second harmonic distortion.
So if we were going to like the circus and we saw someone come out with these plates and they were just holding them with 2 fingers, I think that's considered cheating.
Yeah.
So Trulli Audio's cheating essentially with their thin driver technology is what you're saying.
No, not really. All the components are there, right? There's still a spider. There's still a surround. There's still a cone. The cone becomes a diaphragm, flat diaphragm, a three-piece diaphragm. It's 2 skins with foam in the center that binds the 2 skins together. And then that then attaches to the voice coil at the edge. And then at the center of the diaphragm is where the spider actually attaches. So where normally you'd have the spider on the outside of the coil, your spider is now on the inside of the coil. And what you're able to do then is separate your spider attachment point from your surround attachment point. They're at polar ends of, from your center to your outer edge. And then all of your force is concentrated to the edge of the cone.
So question for you. Does this only work in like 10-inch woofers or smaller?
Absolutely not. The awesome part about our technology is it scales very, very well. So the only real factor that determines your depth is your X mechanical. So how much do you want that coil to throw, right? So with 18 inches, we probably want that coil to throw more like 60 millimeters from top to bottom, right? Whereas in a 10-inch design, we're throwing 14 millimeters top to bottom, or for one way, sorry.
So it scales nicely. It doesn't have the same implications where if you want to go to an 18, now you're adding a lot of depth, a lot of weight,
Correct.
a lot of size.
Yep.
That's really awesome. And that point that you were talking about earlier about that plate, this is a nice visualization to just help you understand. And for me, there's a really interesting analogy that I really relate with personally.
Mm-hmm.
I may not look it, but I go to the gym quite often. Not really, but if I did, and when I did, because I remember when I was strong, you would walk into the gym, right, and you feel strong. You're ready to go, right? You're not hot, but you're ready to go. And as you warm up, you actually get stronger, right? Just like a speaker does. Give it a little power, let it warm up, it gets better, it gets louder. But then what happens after you start working out for a little while? You start to feel a little tired. Your form starts to go. And what happens when your form goes? Things start to break. And that's kind of how a speaker works, in my opinion. I'm a little different, maybe less technical than Andy, but that's how it translates to me. And so being able to handle that over longer periods of time, not get as hot, be able to keep feeling strong, I think it's pretty awesome. So thank you for that, Andy.
Yep, sure.
So I want to move on to some questions for JT and Lance. You've mentioned the footwell, and so why go to a footwell enclosure? Like, what are some of the challenges that you face today? And I know you all have been working with the Trulli sub for a little while now, but why does that help you? I'm trying to understand.
So it helps in a couple of different ways. First of all, our shop is up in the Northeast, and people tend to not like to see any sort of sound equipment in their car. Their ideal case scenario is tuck it back underneath of a panel. I just want bass. I don't want to see it. That's not super feasible, really, particularly with typical subwoofers. You need the depth, you need the box size, and you need a place to put it. So since these subs are so shallow, we can actually fit them behind a lot of factory panels and give them the space that they need, first and foremost. But as far as the front sub goes, it's one of the only subs you can really fit and continue to have some foot room. And in my opinion, you can't beat a front sub. It just does some things that other subs can't. Typically, you have to do some sort of psychoacoustic trickery to make it sound like the subwoofer frequencies are coming from in front of you in a sound quality car. But with a front sub, you don't have to do that. It's coming from in front of you. What else do you want? It also seems to do some sort of like weird tactile feedback thing where you get more of the live concert sound kick through the chest through a kick drum, or that buzz through the chest at an EDM concert that is a lot more difficult to get out of just a subwoofer in the back. So being able to put it in a lot of these newer cars that don't have any space up front, or in some of the more performance cars like a Porsche or a McLaren or something along those lines, opens up a ton of possibilities and options that you wouldn't have otherwise.
I love that. Thank you, Lance. JT, on that call out there of performance vehicles, you're very fortunate to be able to work with some of them, and I definitely admire looking at them. Can you talk us through maybe the challenge of doing a footwell in a performance vehicle, and kind of how you overcome it?
So we're very fortunate. I mean, Huntington Beach, California. We are very blessed to be in an area where people have a few bucks, and they can buy all these cool cars. And you wouldn't think that the system on a Bugatti sucks, right? It does. It basically comes with a $15,000 pair of tweeters on the dash. It has a 3.5 on the door, and it has some sort of like isobaric 4.5, 5-inch subwoofer. It doesn't even. I mean, it sucks. Like the system on my Prius is better. Like, I mean, and so how do we add a sound system on a Bugatti, right? And we did it. I will never probably be able to post any of the pictures on that car, just because if we post those pictures and the customer decides to sell the car, and the next owner sees that the stereo guys took the car apart, it will probably be a challenge for him. He will probably take some depreciation. So it's a challenge, right? So how do you do a system on a vehicle like that? So what we typically will do, is basically we'll scan the car, and we have the ability to basically print the whole enclosure, right? And what's cool about it is we're not introducing any chemicals into the car. So the other way that we will do it is we will basically fiberglass, in the footwell, but that's a lot of freaking work, right? And you don't want that. You don't want all those chemicals. I mean, it's time consuming. And then if you ever have to do it again, you have to go through the process. So the way we do it, is we can scan the car, we can 3D print that enclosure, and we have some cool tricks on how to reinforce the 3D printed enclosure so that it's solid. And it's awesome. It sounds good.
I think you brought something here to show us today that you made.
So this enclosure is for the McLaren. It will fit the 750, 765.
Can you pass the grill around the room?
Sure. So it's totally printed. This thing is literally, other than me
Maybe
gluing
pass that around the room too.
if you want,
Sure.
it's kind of heavy.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Very often do we hand off subwoofers with one hand in an enclosure.
Right.
It's pretty common.
So that enclosure is basically, it was 3D printed. I didn't intentionally touch it. We didn't do any body work. That's the way it came off the printer. And what we typically will do is we make that baffle out of birch, just so that it's strong, right? And
Yep.
we don't, and then we'll do a little bit of body work.
And what's the size of that enclosure, approximately? 0.2, 0.25?
Yeah. I usually try to be in the 3.
The 0.3?
3.3, just so that the woofer's a little, he likes it.
For
better.
sure.
But we also have to take into account that somebody's going to be sitting on the passenger and you know, we want to keep it comfortable.
For sure, for sure. That's so that's awesome. And so tomorrow morning, there's a seminar that JT and Lance are leading on the Fusion 360 software. So they're going to be specifically talking about how they go through the process of start to finish to do something like this, and specifically for a Porsche 997. And that vehicle then is in our in the trade show booth. So you'll be able to not just see how it's done, you'll actually get to see and hear the finished product. So really, really cool stuff. Very modern in y'all's way of approaching this. And that's what we love about you both, because we're very modern, we feel, in how we approach things. And we feel there's a good affinity there. So thank you. I want to get to another topic here, and I want to start with you again, Len. This is a hot topic. We've received a lot of direct messages on social or inquiries, and prior to this, we were at the other 3 KnowledgeFests this year, and we received a lot of questions from dealers on why is the price $1,600 for a 10-inch woofer. And so I just wanted to start with you, Len, to understand from your perspective why that is.
Okay, here's the thing that we're trying to do. We're trying to produce the absolute best product that anybody can get. And in doing that, we try to give it the qualities. I was kind of smiling here as people were passing around, just handing off a subwoofer in their hand. Go try to do that. You can't do that with other subwoofers. And we designed a truly differentiated product that performs superbly. It's of the best quality. It's going to take the power that you want to be able to do because of the large voice coil that we have. And it's designed and it's assembled here in the United States. So we have complete control over it, and we've proven out that it gets the quality that we want. All of this that we have is Klippel tested. The spec sheet is just the results as they came from Klippel. It's not our fabrication of what it should do. So we're trying to give you the best. And when it's all over and done with, you spend most of your time listening to music in your vehicle. That's where you listen to it the most. And if you're going to spend that much time listening to something, you're going to own that vehicle for years. Why not get the best enjoyment out of it? And in the end, it's a great value. And so that's why we're doing that.
I love it, right? And Lance and JT, I want to ask you the same question because y'all are authorized dealers of Trulli and sell our subwoofer today. And I understand that your specific businesses may be different than others, but speaking on behalf of custom installers and maybe retailer installers, how do you approach the price conversation? How do you do it?
Well, it really just comes down to the options that you have. Depending on what the customer wants or is looking for, it gives you so many more options when it comes to design. Just because you do have so many more options with placement, with box type, and everything else. But not only do you have that, you also have one of the best sounding, if not the best sounding sub on the market. So it's one of those things where if you can get a client to listen to it in a demo car, in your own car, whatever you may need to do, it's pretty readily obvious. It doesn't really take much sell just because it is, yeah, it's that much different, for lack of a better way to put it.
Can I pause you for a second? I know, JT, you might have an ad, but can I pause you for a second? Can I ask a question to the audience? When someone comes in to your location and wants to experience what what bass is. Can you tell us how do you demo that today? How do you demo bass at your location?
He's gonna know. I demo it in my car.
You demo it in your car?
Yeah, I have a show car that I have set up as SQ, and I have high school mode, which will rip your face off.
High school mode. I love that.
I love it.
That's awesome.
So I asked the customer, "What do you want?" And they go, "I want a little bass." And I go, "Like that?" They go, "Oh, a little more." Like that? A little more. How about that? And they go, "Oh, hell no." I go, "Okay." I have no idea what they want.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. And appreciate that. Any other ways that you demonstrate what bass is like in a car? Does anyone do it any differently? So on that note, one of the things I just wanted to call out here, Len mentioned earlier on, was the ability to, we took our TD10S, our 10-inch subwoofer, and we put it into a package that has no installation required. But what was really interesting when talking with JT and others and being at KnowledgeFest, we learned that how you demonstrate bass absolutely resonate with what you said. I have a show vehicle, I demo it. But that's still not the customer's car, right? How do they know the impact that it'll make in their car? And so one of the things we heard is being able to use the Bass 50 subwoofer as a tool for y'all to be able to put bass in the customer's car in under 5 minutes and let them hear the quality of the sound, the difference bass makes, and whether they buy the Bass 50 and you make some quick money because that's no installation required, or from a retailer you sell them a preloaded enclosure which is already designed and optimized and it sounds phenomenal, it's the same sub, or you sell them just the raw driver itself and you build the enclosure, but at least now they have maybe an idea of what it's doing, right? And so just wanted to throw that out there as something we've talked about on the side, and that was just a tangent, but we think it could be helpful for demonstrating as a tool. And of course, if those are the type of customers that would be interested in that, then sell that too, right? So back to you, JT, about price. How do you handle price? How do you sell to your customers?
So for me, it's a little bit different, right? Because a lot of the vehicles that come into my shop, they usually come in a tow truck. So I never really get to see. I'll make sure that I meet with the customer when we're done with the vehicle. But for the most part, I usually get the car and let's just upgrade the system on the car. And price is obviously, I can't try to get $1 million for a sound system, but usually it's not that critical, right? And unless the customer is really asking for a price, we're just gonna do what we do and let him. If he doesn't stop me, we're gonna. So perfect example, right? We have the Lucid here, and on the Lucid, we were just going to. That car comes with a very complicated sound system. It has Dolby Atmos, 22 speakers from the factory, right? So how do you upgrade the sound system? Like the system on the car from the factory is pretty awesome. So how do we make it better, right? So when I started talking to the client about upgrading the system, one of the thoughts was just to add bass to the car, right? So how do we do it? So we can go underneath the rear deck, replace the factory sub, do something cool, right? But then I showed him the Trulli subs, and then I said, we should try to do 2 of them. And then he goes, okay. And then he goes, but I want a lot of bass. And I'm like, okay, so I think we can do 4. Right? So here's the challenge, though. If we take, a regular sub, we need a really big enclosure to make 4 subs fit in a trunk and make them work, right? What if we can take 4 of the Trulli subs, isobaric, bandpass, and we can get super creative and make that subwoofer enclosure look really killers and get the output that we want. and when I drew the original design and I send it to the customer, and then I told them this is what I'm thinking, and then he goes, let's do it, right? And I go, but don't you want another price? And then he goes, is it a lot? And I'm like, we have a saying, right? When it's before we give the customer an invoice, we give them a hug. Right? So I wrote the quote for the system. I did not think that he was gonna do it because just in gear we have close to $40,000.
But I think first off, it's a true testament to the work you do, the care you have for the vehicles, and really how much you get to know. You may not meet the customer, right, face to face, right? They're just sending the vehicle to you. But your ability to get to know them so that they trust you, your team, and that vehicle that is obviously expensive, and to maintain the integrity of that vehicle is a real testament to you and your team, and that's really amazing, right? And I think your ability to focus on the solution, the same way, Lance, we're talking about how do you talk about price? You both said I don't talk about price. I get to know the customer first. I get to know what they're looking for, and then you propose a solution. And sometimes it's even maybe bigger than they thought, but they've fallen in love with the idea, right? The same way we might go to a store and be like, wow, that is an amazing television. That is not what I was planning on spending. But I see it. The same way you said you drew up a design. You put time into it before they even gave you any money. But in return, you got an awesome project. And as JT mentioned, that car is in our booth as well. And that is a work of art.
His customer was so proud of what it turned out to be. He said, I know you're going to this show. You want to show this car?
Yeah,
I'm proud of this.
He's
car.
already
for 2 days.
We were picking up Lance from the airport last night, and he's sending us more shows we should go to with his car. So it just goes to show you like the care, the attention of detail, and that connection. And even he's laughing about the hug, but it's true. He hugs his customers, right? Because there's this connection, right? And a hug is different than a handshake. And so I love those answers. So
Let me finish.
yeah.
Let me finish.
No problem.
So the price is definitely important, right? But you have to qualify the customer. And if the customer, if I feel that sometimes salespeople, we want to concentrate on price, right? But we need to concentrate on selling the experience, right? What exactly are we selling? Because what we're selling, they definitely don't need it, especially when you have a brand new car, $1 million car. Do they really need to upgrade the system? I mean, Ferraris, right? They never came. Well, a lot of the cars didn't come with a radio, right? Because what do you need a radio for?
Well, the interesting thing is, when you get a Ferrari, and they have nice sound systems in them, there's no bass. The sub can't fit. They can't fit a real sub as it's traditionally been. I'm anxious to have a chance to sit down with Ferrari and show them what's possible with a.
in case Ferrari's listening,
design.
Len Foxman, you can look him up and contact him. No, I love that, right? And so I want to transition on that point right there, right? Because part of y'all, you're here to help your business and yourselves, right? Same way we're here to help our businesses and ourselves connect with amazing people like y'all. And so when thinking about that, and part of the price conversation, right? How are y'all staying innovative and in business and ahead and different, right? And how are we doing the same thing? And so Len and Andy, I have the question for y'all. How is Trulli going to continue to be innovative as we have over the last 8 years? How are we going to continue to be innovative, and how are we going to work with our customers in doing that?
Well, Andy works on the drivers and the driver technology that we have. And this thin driver model we've got, it's patent protected. It allows us to scale this into all different sizes of product. Now, we can build speakers out of those drivers too, as we've done with the Base 50. But what's different is there isn't a single no-install wireless vehicle solution on the market today. We're the only ones. We're going to take that same type of attitude and look at all the different ways that people want to listen to music and in the environments they want to listen to music in, and make it easy for them to be able to use that. And when you have a product that fits into many different types of environments, use phases, it's easier to justify the expenditure because it's not just good in one location or in one use. And so the idea that you could take something out of your vehicle, put it on the patio, and you have something to supply the right kind of sound in that environment, or even bring it in the house. And we have ways of it working seamlessly with other people's speakers. We like to think our train runs on their track. And so we're going to always try to innovate the technology that we have capabilities on and make it easier for people to enjoy their music. And that's one of the things we're doing.
Love that, love that. Andy, what are you working on today to really continue to push the envelope on acoustics and keep us innovative?
Yeah, so on multiple use cases, we talked about how the technology is scalable. We're constantly looking at, we're in the process of developing mid-range solutions as well as subs, as well as tweeters, as well as in multiple different formats, 10, 8, 6.5, 12, up to 18.
Love it. And the 6.5s, the version 1 6.5s are actually on display back there in an enclosure that JT worked on in his shop.
Some of you saw it when you came in over there.
And we'll have that playing in the Truck Expo side of the hall later this evening. Probably tomorrow, actually, we'll be playing that one. So thank you for that. And real quick, we have a few minutes still left. Len, when talking about innovation, for many of us in the audience, we don't know. And so can you just quickly inform all of us on what did you do previously, and how is that helping us stay different for today?
Well, I was, for most of my career, I was in a totally different part of the industry. I was in the semiconductor industry, and the firm that I had designed and built the test equipment that all the manufacturers, for instance, Texas Instrument was one of our biggest customers. When they manufacture semiconductors, they don't know whether they work or not. So they have to go through a final test. And we designed and built that final test equipment. So you're talking about billions and billions of parts, and at a very bleeding edge of technology. So we've got a lot of electronic expertise in the family. When some people heard, I flunked retirement a few years ago. I came back and had to, well, I did. I'm not good at it. But so we started up this endeavor, and a whole bunch of the people who had worked with me for many, many years, they all gave up and walked over and joined me. So we've got a nice team of people put together, and we've been able to add it over the time. And so testing is the big deal. You don't know what you've got until you test it. You don't know whether you've done a successful installation until the customer gets in there, they turn it on, and they go, wow, this is what I wanted, and this is more than I wanted. You did a great job. And at that very moment, they feel smart. You made them feel smart. Yeah, they spent their money, but they got a level of satisfaction that they're going to remember long after the money. And this is a lot of fun because everybody can enjoy our products. I spent decades in an industry where if you put the thing in the middle of the shopping mall, nobody'd even know what it was. And if it weren't there when you came back, it was in the dumpster. So this is much more fun. And
I love that.
who doesn't love music?
Absolutely. On that note, Len, I'm going to pause you right there, and thank you for that. If you get a chance, you can look it up. Eagle Test Systems was Len's previous company. Really, really impressive operation. So we have a few minutes here, so I want to go around and ask everyone. I'm going to kick it off. I've done the least amount of talking, which is really ironic, actually. And so, what is one thing that we all want to leave you with? What is one thing if we had to say, hey, really take this away? I'm gonna kick that off. A fun fact about Trulli is almost every single person at Trulli plays an instrument. Len plays a mean piano, jazz piano. And so for us, music is first. While we are super techie nerds, all of us, and we love tech, and we love being nerds, but music is number one for us, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't get in your car to play Pink Noise or Sign Sweeps, right? Maybe you do that to do a test, right, to Len's point, but that's not what I'm listening to, right? I'm listening to music, right? And that's where my love lies, and so does everyone at Trulli, and I think that's really what brings us all together to not just create awesome tech, but tech that you can enjoy, right? So that's what I hope you all can remember about Trulli and why we're doing what we do. Andy, what do you want everyone to leave with?
Yeah, I think I definitely echo that sentiment of being a nerd and working on the stuff. And oh man, I think everybody in this room is actually probably a nerd about audio and is really happy when they got a finished product that sounds amazing, right? And I'm so fortunate and so blessed to be able to be part of this and to be the one spearheading this sort of stuff. So I'm really happy about that, and it's really fortunate.
Thanks, Andy. I'm going to end with Len. JT.
Oh man. So I spent almost 20 years doing retail, right? It came to the point where I just hated people. Like I didn't want to deal with customers. Like I seriously, like no BS. Somebody comes in and they look like they're gonna be trouble. I walk away. I will literally take $100 out of my pocket, give it to them, and send them on their way. No BS. I've done it. I will buy them gas so that they can go to the next shop. Huh?
Having extra gas?
Yeah. So if I can say something, stop trying to sell equipment, sell the experience, show the customers that you care, get them excited, and you will get exactly what you want. My shop is not supposed to work. On paper, if I was to try to go get a loan for my shop, the way it's structured, I wouldn't get $1. There's no sign. 90% of the time, we don't answer the phone. We have very little, we don't have a showroom. It's very difficult to find us because we're in an industrial area. What we do have when you come into our shop, and that I'm very proud of, is, just about every toy that you can buy, I own it. And once again, I'm really proud that I have a cool team and we work really hard. And everything, all the equipment that we have, yes, is very expensive. We own it. We don't finance anything. But it gives us the ability to do things that most shops wouldn't be able to do, right? And it opens a lot of doors. So again, don't sell the equipment. Don't worry about the price. If the customer doesn't have the money or is not willing to spend the money, you got nothing. Sell the experience. Let them get excited, and you will get exactly what you want.
I love that. I love that. Their excitement leads to your excitement, and in return grows your toy collection. It's perfect. It's perfect. I love it. Lance.
All right, so when I first saw these subs, to be quite honest, I was kind of skeptical, just to be frank. It looks wild, it looks extra slim. I was thinking there was no way I was going to be able to get the output I wanted out of this subwoofer. But I thought, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I switched it out with a different brand sub that I had in my footwell box, and I got that feeling that I haven't had in a very long time when I started listening to music again, where it gave me the goosebumps and I didn't want to leave my car. And that's a hard thing to find, to be honest, especially somebody who works
It gets
in the
me in
car audio
trouble
industry.
quite often.
Seriously, my girlfriend comes out front, knocks on my window because I have my eyes closed, jamming. Like, are you coming in for dinner anytime soon? I'm like, I'll be in a little bit, don't worry. But yeah, like you said, sell the experience. It's really hard to get that feeling, so embrace that and let other people enjoy it, and you don't have to sell this thing. So give it a try, and I think it should really kind of explain itself.
That's awesome. Len, can you leave us with what you want us to leave with?
Well, I think the theme here, everybody in this room recognizes. Music is unique to the human species. We're the ones that appreciate music. And it doesn't matter who we are or where we come from. It's just one of the most common human traits. And think back. Can't you associate certain music with a certain situation and a certain event and thing that's happening in your life? And that builds memories.
And goosebumps.
And those memories are something that you carry around all the time. And every time you hear that music and you remember when you heard it and how you heard it, it's a point of pleasure. So you're in the pleasure business. And if you give them the best experience on that, you're doing them a favor. And that's what you want to be doing.
That's amazing. Thank you, Len. Thank all of you, Lance, JT, Len, Andy, and everyone in the crowd. We really, really do thank you for choosing to spend time with us here. There's something we say, listen out loud. We really do believe, like Len was saying, that you build memories from listening with others and doing that out loud. In a world of headphones today, we really want to listen more out loud and make those memories together. Definitely, any questions you have, stick around. We have the room. If you have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer. Otherwise, we know there's other seminars. Join us starting at 4 o'clock. Come to our booth. Also, from 7 to 9 tonight, in our booth, we're doing some barbecue. And so you can hang out with us some more, extending the hours to listen to the cars and just talk to installers, talk to ourselves, to answer questions based on their perspectives different than our perspectives, right? We're not installing, we're manufacturing, they're doing the installation. So I think we have different perspectives, and we'd love for you to talk to all of us about that. Yeah, real fast.
On the innovation side, could you not make equipment that doesn't need installed?
Well, let me say something to you on that regard. Okay. Here we are developing this and everything, and the first time I got a chance to sit in a vehicle with this no-install subwoofer, I listened to it, and of course I picked out a song that I'm going to be very familiar with. So I told Andy, just play Hotel California. Everybody's heard it. He started playing it, and oh my God, I heard a line of music that I hadn't actually heard before in all those years, because I wasn't listening to it on a system that could reproduce those frequencies that are there. And I just went, wow, it's a totally different experience. And I would use, as an installer, if people could understand the difference a subwoofer could make for them, and if they hear that, they're going to want that. And maybe our wireless subwoofer is a way to demonstrate it to them in their vehicle and say, look, I can build this along with the rest of these things. It's made out of the same driver that I can put into your vehicle along with the rest of my build. Don't you want a subwoofer? They're going to answer yes. And you're going to still do the install, only you're going to do it with a great subwoofer.
And
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty excited about this because this is the way I see it, right? So you take the Base 50 to their car. You don't really have to do anything. You basically pop the trunk, put the thing in. There's a controller.
We'll show you. We have a
Yeah.
demo in the booth.
To give the customer an opportunity to listen to their music in their car and listen to a sub in their own vehicle, something that you know very well you're going to take away from them the minute they leave, right? But it creates a memory, right? So now you have the option, and you can use this as a tool to sell whatever it is that fits that client. So I think is a really great tool, and if they want to buy that,
So they
that's
may
awesome.
not always choose Trulli. Right.
I think no, but I think
I'll do you this. I promise to stop innovating if it'll make that grow back.
no, but I
No,
think though there
we
will
can
always
fix that.
be. I think though there will always be room for aftermarket car audio installation,
Always.
because there will always be a need for a solution that's hidden. Or,
Well, on that
or doesn't-
point,
you don't.
last thing I'll say on that point right there. The one thing with some of the testers that we've already been doing externally with the Base 50, any guesses on what the next thing they want to do to their car after they had that sub in their car now? Any guesses? I like where your head's going. And we actually have an accessory that bolts on that makes it 4 times louder. But no, what they want now are new mids and tweeters because it can't keep up. And so now it brings the install right back to you, right? And so it's just, some people use remote starts to get you in the door. Some use wheels and tires. Everyone has a different way, right? And so if this can be a tool to help you, help them understand the difference, whether you sell Trulli that sale or not, it helped you move the needle, right? And so that's what we're really excited about. And all of what we've been talking about will be on demonstration in our booth today. So please come by. We'd love to show it to y'all. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. One last thing we want to do, we want to take a team photo. We want to take a picture with all of you. We're going to turn around. We're going to take a picture with all of you. And then thank you so much. So if you could just, I'll count it out. Put one hand up. We really want to remember this. This is our first seminar we've ever done as a company. So thank you so much. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Woo! Photos are like super awkward, but they look great on the internet. So thank you all so much.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, yes, on your way out, we have swag for everyone who attended. Please take what's on the table. There's a bag. On the way out, I know everyone wears different sizes, so we didn't want to assume. You can see Sam and Brian. When you go out the door, make a right and pick up some swag. Thank you all.